of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call. Oops.
President Everard is absent. Vice President Wazorek,
Here.
Treasurer Zimmerman,
Present.
Secretary Zeller, here. Trustee Brady, here. Trustee Leahy,
Yes.
and Trustee Zurich.
Hey, Christy, I'm here, just remote.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Hello.
I got big shoes to fill here, Lloyd.
You'll do fine.
Does someone have to make a motion?
No, when he's not doing remotely, he is not eligible, based on he's on vacation, so. You're continuing, but we do need a motion for you to serve in the role of.
Right,
President Pro Tem.
right, but I can't do it for myself.
Somebody else should make that motion. Ask for a motion.
Yeah, I'll ask for a motion, and I'll jump at once.
I make a motion. You mean second?
Nora,
We gotta
okay.
read it.
Oh,
You gotta read the motion, please.
the motion to appoint Vice President Wazorek as President Pro Tem of our meeting, committee of the whole for May 21st, 2026.
Second.
Trustee Leahy.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Roll call.
Yep. Secretary Zeller,
Yes.
Treasurer Zimmerman,
Yes.
Trustee Brady, yes. Vice President Wazorek,
Yes.
and Trustee Leahy.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any public comments out there?
I'm not seeing any raised hands online.
Very good. Move on to 5.0, the presentations. Gabe?
All right, it is my privilege to present the ecological land valuation system. And before I get going, I just need to acknowledge that I'm presenting, but a lot of people invested time into this process. People that have retired, Brad Woodson, Ed Collins participated in this effort. And then Cindy Rendell, our systems analyst, was the project manager for this, so she kept us on track. And with that, we'll get going. This was part of the strategic plan. So our current strategic plan under strategy 2G was to develop this new classification system specifically for rating ecosystem benefits for lands in different stages of management that the district holds. So if you take a look at that picture there on the right, what ecosystem service benefits do you see?
Ground cover.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Ground cover.
Ground cover. I was gonna say, is that wetlands in the back?
Yeah, wetlands.
Well, it could always be the type of, font or flora there too.
Aesthetic beauty.
Perfect. Yeah.
Habitat.
Habitat, great. And then Lloyd sent in this. What I see in the photo is a great diversity of plant life, which will help support a large number of faunal species. I see grassland that'll help hold soil in place and stop erosion and evaporation. I see a filtering system for groundwater and food source for pollinators. And it's also lovely to behold. So you nailed that.
Well said.
All right, next one. So through this process, I just wanted to highlight two things that were kind of the boundaries, and this is associated with the purpose of the district. This is from the Conservation District Act, and it's also reiterated in our ordinance, our comprehensive administrative ordinance and policy manual. And that's that the district will manage and use real property and also have restrictions to leave it unimpaired for future generations in their benefit. And this is really important, specifically the generational component. So when you think about the temporal aspect of ecosystem services, we documented the history of the district and why land preservation took place up until this point. and then also will position us for communicating those ecosystem benefits through land valuation moving forward. So that idea of generations and conservation being intergenerational is very important. It continues on and otherwise promote conservation of nature, flora, fauna, natural environment, and natural resources of the district. And then in the land preservation and natural resources under section 7 of the comprehensive policy, the primary goal of our natural ecosystem management efforts should be to maintain and reconstruct the best possible approximations. So that concept of best possible approximations will come forward in my communication of this ecological evaluation system. So best approximations of natural communities by restoring the processes. So the ecological processes, structure, and function of those natural communities. So the ecological land evaluation system is founded in ecology. That's weird that it's brown. It's supposed to be green. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, maybe it's a little foreshadowing of the issue with our ecology. Anyway, so the basis is ecology, but taking a look at this idea of valuation of ecosystem services, asking ourselves, what is ecology doing for us, is kind of economics, specifically when we're talking about providing a monetary value for those ecosystem services. So you guys kind of all mentioned these: natural scenic beauty, talked about recreation, hazard mitigation. The big one for us is flooding in this area. Tourism is a big component. Pollination is a good example of this idea of valuation. And then somebody mentioned the components of water quality. I think it was Lloyd mentioned water quality and filtering. But all that is based on our ecology. So our ecology is economy. And on the left there, you heard us talk about the importance of biodiversity, but also this idea of complexity that is found in those natural systems. And that really leads to the resilience of these ecological systems over time. And then the core is our fauna, our flora, and our soils. And then rounding it out on ecology is, are we creating a system that these communities are going to be adaptable over time, be sustainable for the county? And what does a sustainable county look like? So this system, this framework, it's in a heading on there. Anyway, this framework is going to delineate and classify certain ecological systems, and they're ecologically distinct, not in the concept of natural communities, but in the concept of ecological restoration and providing additional ecosystem services as we improve these lands. So one thing to note, though, is this is specifically for land. We did not dive into water classifications. It got really difficult when we started to evaluate water. Certainly there's components of land ecology that benefits water. The other one that we didn't talk about was developed land. So specifically non-water resource, non-development ecological lands. And the goal of this effort was to establish a standard and create a procedure that will allow us to communicate to different audiences and evaluate different levels of ecosystem service based on where we are in habitat restoration. And that should help us communicate. It's kind of a simplification of all the ecology that we're constantly talking about. So it's an ease of understanding and an ease of communication, and it's done in a cost-effective way. Certainly, we're going to still do all of our natural resource inventories, but you'll see that this framework is really based on restoration and temporal considerations versus specific ratings of biological metrics. Next one. So we've divided all of the district's holdings into 3 land classification systems. The first one being the district's working lands, second one being all of our natural community reconstructions, and the third is our extant natural communities, those communities that still show an assemblage of what they are naturally. Next one. So whenever the district acquires land, it's going to come into these 3 different classifications, either working land, natural community reconstruction, or extant natural communities. Obviously, the district exists to preserve those highest quality areas. So we really seek out those extant natural communities, and specifically the high quality remnants. That's where the Illinois Natural Area Inventory, McHenry County Natural Inventory, those would fall into those high quality remnant categories. But when we're buffering those communities, oftentimes, whether the parcel is laid out differently, you may have working lands that come into the preservation of district holdings. And occasionally we will get some ecological restoration projects, which we call natural community reconstructions. Next one. This just kind of shows the progression over time of these different levels. So within those 3 classifications, there's 13 levels. Again, those high quality remnants would be the highest. They're providing the most ecosystem service benefits and possess species that we can't replace. Those are absolutely priceless natural communities. And this is the only one where we actually have a vegetation grade associated with it. And that's because of the INAI and McNay. Those 2 natural area inventories is grade C or better. So we're looking at best of its type of natural communities. And those are kind of our template for what that best approximations are. So if we want to restore a fen, we would take a look at a high quality remnant natural community and try and emulate that in our ecological restoration. So if you go to the other end of the spectrum, the district may acquire conventional working lands, conventional agriculture, and those would be systems that are have tillage every year. They're reliant on a lot of chemicals, don't have any conservation practices on them, constantly mobilizing the carbon, reducing those sinks, and nutrient loss from other eutrophying elements. As soon as the district brings a parcel like that on, we'll put a conservation and agriculture lease into that program, into that parcel, and we'll add field borders, reduce tillage, filter strips, try and make sure that we're not having erosion, whether it's wind or air, air or water. And then the next level would be this regenerative idea where we're trying to have higher quality soil health, working on establishing soil biota, increasing infiltration, increasing the soil aggregacy. And the next one is a ruderal land. So a ruderal land is something that previously was in row crop agriculture at some point in time for a period of time. And then for whatever reason, it stopped having row crop on it and just kind of went in what we call a novel ecosystem. There weren't a lot of inputs, native species into that land, and it's just whatever was around as far as weed seeds, shrubs, things of that nature. That'd be ruderal land. The next 2 are working grasslands and grazing working lands. So there we're actually applying some type of habitat improvement to it. So the grazing grassland is what Brendan presented last month on our bison program and the benefits of the bison program to birds and pollinators, things of that nature. And the working grassland is especially those lands that we have in joint grassland adventure. We're still having a crop come off of it, but we're managing for habitat purposes. The next 4 are in that middle range, which are under the classification of natural community reconstruction. And this is probably where our team argued the most, debated the most, had some good discussions because we could split hairs in here quite a bit based on different biases, where it's wildlife bias or plant bias. So what we decided on was essentially this temporal concept, because something interesting happens around that 30-year mark when these reconstructions start functioning similar, not exactly as, but similar to natural communities. So early reconstruction is when we have, say it was a conventional working land reconstruction. There's a lot of species, there's a lot of competition from that available soil, and takes a lot of effort to manage weeds. So from 0 to 5 years, there's a lot of work that has to take place. From 5 to 10 is what we're calling the mid-established. Things are starting to work out as far as species assemblages go. And then established reconstruction is 10 to that 30-year mark. And then the mature reconstruction is 30 years. And at 30 years, you really start seeing that soil biota return and maximizing ecosystem service benefits, the entire suite of them when you have those mature reconstructions.
Dave, can I
Yeah.
ask a quick question just to make sure I understand? So every acre that McHenry County Conservation District oversees would fit into one of these 13 categories?
Correct.
Okay.
And then what we would be able to do is track them over time, and as we improve them or move them into different stages, we'd be able to provide an acreage of where they're at. And if we wanted to, we could start applying some monetary value based on the ecosystem services of each type. But before we get there, we needed to define the ecology,
Sure.
the foundation
Sure.
built on. So that the last three there in extant natural communities, the opportunity areas are those where we do have a remnant soil. But let's say that it was a woodland and it was heavily grazed and it knocked out a lot of the quality plant life, and you might have invasive species. It would need ecological restoration efforts to move it up into the next level, which is remnant rehabilitation. So those are areas that we're actually doing active management on. Like I started with, high quality remnants is at the top.
So I'm over by Goose Lake,
Yes, sir.
on the Hebron Trail.
Yep.
So if I wanted to find out where that fits in one of these categories, how would I do it?
We would communicate it to you.
Oh, okay.
So if I remember correctly, well, Goose Lake itself would be a remnant. We didn't have that tilled, right? But it needed hydrology restoration. So that's
Right.
the lake itself. There's also a small prairie remnant out there along the trail.
Yep.
And then most of those, I think, would be in that established reconstruction. I don't think we've hit 30 years on those yet,
Okay.
but I think it's over 10. But I'd have to go look at that.
Just give.
But that's an example. Was there another question?
Fine.
Yeah.
So you're tying ecology with the economy. My question is, does this charting help you or direct you to prioritize your economic resources?
Excellent. We're good. Before we go there, remind me if I don't hit it, but I think it will. So the mission of the district here is to preserve, restore, and manage these natural areas and open spaces because they have intrinsic value. Okay. And for the benefit of generations. So the big thing here is this economic valuation is not equivalent to this intrinsic value that these places have. The example that I like to use is pollination. I looked up before I came here, and the current figures for pollination value is between 235 and 577 billion globally, and 15 billion in the United States. And if you just talk about natives, they say it's only 3 billion. But I guarantee if we were to wipe out all pollinators, those figures would be way low, because pollination is priceless to everything, both in the natural world and the economic world. So that's where this idea of intrinsic value really is priceless. We can use an economic figure, but it's only as good as that moment in time, right? A perfect example is when we were, this last topic that we had $35,000 an acre for wetland mitigation however many years ago. Now it's 124,000. Which is it? Is it 35,000 or is it 124,000? So this is the problem with dollar valuations. Excellent. So before I go into this final slide, which is the next steps, I just wanted to stop here for questions. I must have missed your question, but we will be able to use this as a way to communicate to the public, to communicate where we're at any point in time in each level.
Right, but you're also saying that intrinsic value sometimes has more value than economic values.
Correct. Yeah, so that's one thing to just kind of realize. We mapped out the ecology, but there's this interest to know what's in it for me. What's the dollar value? And that'll be, we can do that at any point in time, but they're going to be estimates. I would argue ecologically, they're going to be low. But this is a way to at least line it up and communicate how the district is providing additional ecological benefits, which are viewed as ecosystem service benefits.
Gabe, I was just curious, and I don't want to bore everybody with this, but I think the conservation district, as part of the longer range planning, was using the good to great approach.
Mhm.
And the hedgehog concept comes to mind. It's 3 circles. What are you the best in the world at? Passionate about what drives your economic engine, which your comments I find are, it can't be dollars and cents. It's a lot of it's intrinsic.
Yeah.
Did you overlay that with that concept? And yes or no will be fine. I can follow up later. I was just curious.
I don't know. I mean, where does an idea begin and end. It's very possible.
Yeah,
But the way that I see this one is kind of ecology, economy, and sociology, because that's really the human component that is driving what is an economic value.
yeah.
That reminds me, who was that, the Bigfoot? And, or Elizabeth was, I don't know if you were, do you remember my question of Tom Simpson?
I wasn't there.
No, I was looking through to.
Where we?
Okay, so we were by a big oak, old oak. And then in a short distance, 100 feet away, were some very tall, thin oaks that were going skyward. So my question to Tom Simpson was, as a restorationist, would you remove this big oak? And he says, yes, as a restoration, I would, but as a human, I wouldn't. I thought that was quite.
For sure. So before the next steps, is there anything else that so this is like a good, just kind of overview visualization of the why behind it all.
So do you have all the current sites categorized?
No, that is the next step.
Okay.
And I know it's that next slide.
Okay, I was just curious if you see like a lot in certain categories. Or if it's like spread evenly throughout, and I'll be curious if you are surprised at any outcomes, like something that is a site that maybe you love, but its value, like it's a pet favorite, but its value ends up lower, or something that you underestimate that ends up with a higher value. That'll be interesting to see.
We currently try to manage our high quality remnants first and foremost. So that's, I shouldn't be surprised.
What's an example of some of those sites?
Lake in the Hills Fen, it's the top of mind. Silver Creek, another one, Oakwood Hills Fen. Prairie actually, it's linear, but it has a lot of high quality remnants on it. So that would be one that, hey, maybe in order to preserve and expand this high quality remnant, we should be investing in buffers and begin expanding those high quality remnant prairies, things like that. So there's an idea that it can be used. This is the next slide, we might as well go there.
Yeah.
It can be used, and we would hope that it would be adopted by the board so that it can be part of our comprehensive planning. And so at this point, we're in the reviewing and considering the acceptance of this framework. First reading will be next month, second reading and potential acceptance would be in July. And then the next step is going to have to be creating standardization procedures and then a data model. So it'd be a GIS development effort that would need to take place in order to start having some of those outputs.
I like the idea of it being used in decision making, not just to demonstrate evidence, but actually incorporate it in decision making for how current sites are managed. But I assume also how you would consider purchasing new acreage.
Some of that philosophy is in there. So I had mentioned previously that we documented kind of the district's history from the beginning, specifically talking about some of the land protection philosophies. And one of the major philosophies is to acquire those high quality natural areas that buffer them and connect them.
Yeah.
So that is in the land protection plan, forest and corridors.
So you were saying, I remember, Cameron, how long ago was it we saw that presentation on the GIS map that you guys were working with? So you're saying
For the ELT dashboard, that one?
yeah. So you're saying you could incorporate this once you, obviously it's some time away, but this into that as well, or?
I think so. I mean, I think we'll be able to end up creating dashboards for this effort that would say we have this many acres in level 5, this many acres in level 10. So the nice part is, again, it's eliminating that natural community and really looking at it from the ecosystem service benefit. And when we have a project come in, we'll do a parcel. So one project can have multiple natural communities within it. And then we can kind of track those natural community restorations over time. So we'll have a start date, and then you'll know how many years it's been since that initial reconstruction took place.
Right.
And then for the lower ones, if you go back to that list, from one through three, conventional ag to regenerative ag, those are all based on lease. So we'll be able to manage that as well. Rural land's pretty obvious. 5 and 6 are also lease oriented. And then the rest of it is just our remnant communities and our reconstructions. So I think the benefit for the board would be, it hopefully it simplifies the complexity of ecology and is a good tool to just communicate to the public of how we're providing benefit. Another ecosystem benefit is when you think about flood mitigation, USGS says it's a 6-to-1 ratio. So for every dollar that you put into natural ecosystem benefits, nature-based solutions, you're having a 6x benefit to flood mitigation. So those are the types of answers we'll be able to answer and communicate to the public.
I do like the higher and lower level of this schematic you have. It's really well done.
Another way to kind of think of it is kind of stacking natural capital units or stacking ecosystem services, and as you move up, you're adding additional services.
And in the higher categories, is that where you're able to sell the mitigation credit?
No, those are existing natural communities.
Oh, existing natural.
So mitigation would be in the 7 to 10. The reconstruction, natural community reconstruction. They're currently in 1 through 3.
Oh, okay.
And then the lift would be, that's the other thing, is this is kind of illustrated linearly.
Yeah.
But it's not. There's massive lift, ecological lift that happens in those lower levels when you move from a 1 to a 7 is huge.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions?
We'll be able to discuss this next month too if we have questions between now and then for first reading.
Yeah, I just wanna, again, compliment Gabe and the team for really looking at this. I mean, we've put some of these measures into other areas. We've done ecosystem services, a little bit with CMAP when we were looking at, water and other areas, and really the questions that come about and just so key of how to demonstrate. But I think it provides a very easy to understand tool that we can start to have available to communicate, show that benchmarking. You're gonna see that in the Forward to 2040 plan with how we do maintenance at our sites, how we're assessing, right, the built capital, the natural capital as well, and how we manage. And of course, those higher floristic qualities, those things that are there from those natural areas, they're going through their review system to why those things are up in those areas. And so why we've also, I think our land acquisition and our commitment is to try to move to the best of health, right? To move them along that continuum. And that's really important. That's why we transition. That's why we invest into to have those resources.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gabe. I think what this allows the trustees is the ability for an on-ramp to ask intelligent questions. So it was very well done. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gabe.
Thanks, good. Elizabeth, I have a question.
Yes.
Do we need to recognize that Mike joined us?
Yeah, so you have them down here, so I'm down on
At
there.
5:10.
5:10.
Okay.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, moving on to 6.0, old business. Director of Operations.
Thank you. Sean, like you, that one graphic, Gabe was sharing that information about that whole process, and he was trying to bring me up to speed quickly because they've been working on it for years. And he showed me that graphic and I immediately got it. I was like, oh, I got what you're doing here. As soon as I saw that, so it was a really effective graphic. I agree, totally agree. Forward to 2040. I think I presented last time that we had done a lot of heavy lifting to begin with. We were working on that survey and we were kind of had it in the hands of the Upland team and their partner Acuity. And I said it was a little bit of a lull. I said I was looking forward to that little bit of a lull, and you know that is true for at least the staff. We had that little bit of a lull. I see it now amping back up. Where we currently are, that survey is out on the street right now. I believe it was May 11th where it actually was officially out on the street. They had released it a few days earlier, to probably about 5 or 6 days, to do some testing out there of it. And so that was the first stage of it. Once they had 30 responses back that said it was all good, they were using emails to begin with. And what I mean by that is they did their random sample of households, and then cross-matched that upon emails that they could get their hands on, many of which came from us, because they were people that used our sites or registered with us, or that were known to us, maybe volunteers, and they were able to beta test that. So they did that beta test, everything came back, and on I think it was probably the 10th, they actually sent postcards out to everybody, all of those households, saying, hey, the survey is out there. So that has been on the street since then. It's about 10 days that it's been officially on the street. Once they get that done, again, that is all about getting people to respond to the survey. I think there was about 30 questions on that survey, and they were doing it in multiple phases. One is you could call in, or that you could ask for them to call you. You could do it online, or you could do it on paper and mail it in. As soon as they get their statistically valid number, and I believe that number is 500 or in that neighborhood, they will close that part of the survey. Then they'll give us the green light to go ahead and release that out to the general public. We've already put a lot of those things in queue. Caitlin and her team will use social media to get it out. We will send notices out to our stakeholders groups. To say, hey, please comment on this and share this with your people. I believe it's also going out to site youth. Everybody that we can get a hold of, we want to take a look at that survey. So that's going on. I've also been talking about these pop-up events that they're going to be at. Those are starting on the 30th. They're going to be at Pedalpalooza. Then they're going to be at First Friday's concert, which I think is June 6th. And then they're going to finish those up at Hooked on Fishing on June 13th. So those really are the big final pushes for getting community input. And we're kind of in that phase. We're moving into another interesting phase about this, and that is we're starting to get to react to some of the information they've collected. They're sending us through templates of how do you want information presented on your sites? How do you want information presented on your structures? And what does that look like? So the steering committee is looking at that and kind of sifting through that information. That's kind of, again, once they set those up, then they'll use those as templates and use them, so that everything looks consistent all the way through. We're still on target for a summer presentation. Not sure if that's going to be July or that's going to be August, where they will basically sit down and talk to the board on, hey, here's what we heard. Here's some general themes of what we heard. And here is actually, the information that came from that survey. So we're looking at that time frame on it. I think we're still on track for that. The one thing that gives me pause is that we don't know how quickly they're going to get their 500 responses back. They get them back by June 1st, probably pretty likely that we could be standing in front of you in July with some sort of presentation from the Upland people. But if that drags out another week or so, we may not be able to make that. We'll have to push to August. So it all depends on that. So any questions at this point? It's rolling. I'd say we're right on schedule.
Sounds great. You say you mailed out about 500 is what, or they need to get back about 500?
They want 500. I don't know the number they sent out. A lot more than 500. Okay, a lot more, because they want 500 back. They want 500 back as fast as they can get them back, and then they can move on with their process. So it had to be in the thousands. I don't know what that number was though.
Thank
you. Good enough.
Thanks, very good. Thank you. New business review of regular meeting agenda items for May 26th. And do we want to ask at this point in time if there is any new business or if anybody would want anything?
So on this, it's a matter of, this is the opportunity, if you have questions about the consent agenda or Tuesday night, to ask those questions, so we can go through in detail to provide you. Of course, if you have different thoughts between now and Tuesday, please feel free to ask as well. We want to make sure that good. On Tuesday night, of course, with consent, you can ask to have something removed for further discussion, but tonight is your opportunity. So
I had a question. I don't think I'm seeing it here, but were we looking at the foundation budget at Tuesday's meeting?
no, so their budget does not come to this body.
Okay, I don't know why I thought it did.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yeah, they're separate, so they approve their own budget. And they'll do that at the foundation meeting.
Maybe that's what I saw.
I mean, so a little bit, I guess, maybe different context, which is a great question. So we have our budget, it goes to the county, but they appoint the trustees. And that we're the only conservation district in the state of Illinois where that's happened. That was specific legislation. They are a separate nonprofit, and so there's no accountability. I mean, they're accountable to the as a nonprofit, right? But ultimately, they're audit. They do their own budget process.
So Elizabeth, I'm obviously new to this, and the one question, the reason I was asking you about new business is this morning I happened to catch the news with the Secretary of State, and they're coming out with some new e-bike legislation and scooter legislation for sidewalks and parks, and I think they wanted to, I don't know if it'll pass or not, but I just wanted to make sure we invested in all the messaging, that our messaging was consistent with any possible legislation that was going to be passed.
Sure, yeah, I can bring that up under director's report, because we had a lot of that at
Yes.
Day.
No,
We'll take that one and we'll give you the full story on that. But as far as what's on for Tuesday night, so you've got just regular routine business of minutes and treasurer's report. We pay our property taxes just as the residents do. The district pays a good sum of property taxes as well on property that we own at a reduced rate for those that are in the farm leases, et cetera. So you see that. We've got a lot of requests to bid. So that just is to put on the street. That was included within this year's budget. So we've got the Historic Powers Walker House roof replacement, windows here.
Those are just the two items I wanted, just more background on, was the roof and the window, so 13, 4, and 5.
Good, so let's,
The bid is in here, but I don't have any other.
you want to give some background on the project?
So the question is just, the windows in this building were from the original remodel in the
2000.
early 2000, right around 2000. So they're just, I think we had one board meeting where we had rain coming in these windows. There's definitely some issues with windows and seals and things, so it's time to just replace these windows here. And then the Powers Walker roof, that's a cedar shake roof, historically appropriate, and that also has reached the end of its lifespan and is physically be shingled.
So is it all windows in this building, or?
Yeah.
Oh, it is, wow.
Any other questions? Then we have some grant ratification. Obviously a second amendment with the foundation on a triple net lease. And then we have also the water quality trading program, which is updating again with Northern Marine Wastewater Reclamation District. We have an authorization to bid on a lift for our mechanic shop, which is a safety issue. So we get that taken care of, and so they can maintain our vehicles in the fleet. And then we've got two travel opportunities, both for Gabe and I and the National Recreation Park Association. Then for Amy Peters and Sarah Rummel and our landscape architect to attend their conference for ASLA. We've got the executive director of the foundation, which we had talked about before, and the foundation board had agreed to basically, we're going to eliminate the current position that was created and establish just a new position with expanded role and responsibilities. So that is on, as we've discussed previously. And then we have the accessible trailer, which was in front of the board last month, and it was also in front of the foundation board, but the pricing had adjusted in a few items. So we brought that back through the system to ensure that the foundation board was agreeable to the additional expense, and then back to this body for us to be able to move forward with that. So those are the high level items on consent.
Any questions? Did we want to move on to the executive director's report?
I'm going to give you my update. So speaking of legislation, Nora, why don't you give a highlight here about Springfield and
Yeah, it was at Parks Day. We had the opportunity, we're at the state capitol. We met with let's see. I'm gonna have a hard time remembering all the names. But it's Nest and DeWitt. Yes, at his beautiful office, which used to be part of the governor's mansion, but not mansion, the governor had a huge office and they kind of changed it and remodeled it, like gorgeous way it was set up. DeWitt, and we also, I can't remember. Wisnowski. Yeah, we met with quite a few, and the nice thing, and we also met with Alexi Julius. He did give the presentation about the issue with the e-bikes and how it's impacting the parks. I know IAPD had a lot of concerns about, that, and they were really pushing for the various legislation. One legislation that really perked my ears was that they wanted to give a lot of autonomy to conservation districts and park districts and how you want to regulate these on your property, which is really kind of nice, which you can say, no, limited hours, limited speed, and kind of give a lot more deference to how you do it on your property. And Lexi said he was out riding his bike with his daughter and they almost got ran over by an e-bike. And so, yes, he's very concerned about the whole e-bike. And we're hoping that we do get the opportunity to see that legislation pass where we would have that deference. Yeah, and then I know IAPD was talking a lot about some of the issues that they are kind of experiencing. The big one about the vote no was Senate Bill 3907. Yeah, Senate Bill 3907. That was, if you can, I couldn't remember.
Well, on this one, yes, becomes the definition, obviously, with some park districts have childcare facilities with DCFS and the authorization that was very explicit to get permission, and now this creation of this new entity looking to kind of any program that a park district, conservation, forest preserve district offers, a children's program would require licensing or authorization for those programs to occur, which begins to be just crazy. It just is unbelievable. So our statute under park districts, conservation districts, forest preserve districts, it was written in a specific way. It was a great debate that took place in front of us all. Jason Anselman, who is their general counsel, who does much heavy lifting, as does Peter Murphy down there and Maura Freeman. But he was able to entertain and ask questions, and it got
it is because it could impact our summer camps about the whole licensing of who's running the camps and so it was kind of something happened, we don't know, something must have happened at a park district camp to spur this because the bill was being presented by Senator from Lake County, Morrison, and she, because we were trying to get the history of, why is this coming up and why are you trying to impute these park districts and, conservation districts to be subject to these regulations. And, so something that happened in Lake County, no one really talked a lot about it, but it'll be interesting. We're hoping that, they will be able to pass the law now. Now, if you run a daycare, fine, you know, if the kids are there all day and you've got, you know, if you do have a true childcare program, I could see the licensing, but for kids to come to our camps and just spend a few hours and they're in and out and, you know, they're only here a week or 2 weeks or whatever, I mean, that to me is shame.
So there was, some of the things that are already provided with the district code of criminal background checks, for example, the district, we follow that as well, right? We have that done. You know, obviously supervision ratios and other things that are already good as best practice. So it's overlaying of things that were already existent. And then it's that debate of childcare to recreation, and how you define that, and really starting to kind of erode those pieces. So again, slippery, dangerous legislation for the services that are affordable and well received and well respected. And so they're mixing public sector, you know, with your different types of, you know, the YMCA's, the 4-H, I mean, all this private entities, all into one. So, but anyhow, but IAPD, they have a strong voice down in Springfield, and so that and with the transportation, with the e-bikes to get the legislation put in. And while we were there, Janelius was there to say they just came out of session, out of committee, to get that amendment so that could get on the floor. And so again, just know that there's good, strong representation for issues at IAPD on our behalf. And I thank Nora for taking the time. Gabe was with Caitlin and myself, and we had a wonderful time conversation, but met with a lot of the legislators and just their support.
Yeah, great conversation.
Sure.
So I've got pictures to share. We did get that, so we'll make sure those get out. The other thing that we're working on is that we hosted last week the Illinois Association of Conservation of Forest Preserve Districts at the Lost Valley Visitor Center. Our executive team was there with the executive directors and executive teams and other elected officials. It was a great job to be able to host, opportunity to host them there and to showcase and engage a tour afterwards of the School Springs. So that was a great day. We're also working on the Illinois Distinguished Agency Park and Recreation accreditation process. And I just want to thank Trustee Zeller, Secretary Zeller, and Trustee Brady they're going to be our two dials on the clock here to help round out the 12 of us that are working on the accreditation team. It's an agency process. So we kicked that off. We're calling it the clock builders. Each of the members around the team that are working on it have divided up into various sections of standards that they're leading. And then we've got meetings set up throughout the year. We've met with our accreditation mentors, and they visited with us. And so we'll do that self-review process. And the goal would be to be ready for them to come and do their site visit in the spring of 2027. That way, that'll be for the 2028 announcement of distinguished agencies. So we're working on that. So I thank everybody. And the process is more than just the accreditation. I know why behind the standards, why they exist for each of the areas that remain core. And the focus again is that focusing on staff building and board development, understanding, why you approve these policies every year, why they're in place, and why they're critical. We have Hike with Mike this weekend at Pleasant Valley Conservation Area. So education and marketing set up the team. John and Natural Resources are going to be leading that hike, and we'll be out there. So looking forward to that.
So on the Hike with Mike, did we want to reference how to get there? It's called construction at 47. Someone was telling me that you had it going off of 176.
That's a great point. Any recommendations?
Yeah, they have Pleasant Valley Road where tradition goes out to 47.
Right.
No more, so you do have to head to the northern intersection of 176 and head west from there, and then south on the street. Get to Pleasant Valley Road.
It's DEAN?
Yeah. So where the Colby's Garden Center is there.
Okay.
You just head south or take a left if you're coming from the east, head south there. Dead end just a half mile down at Pleasant Valley Road. Take a right there, and you'll follow that around.
So we'll make sure, I'm sure Caitlin put that out, or
Yeah,
I did on that.
she sent a pin out to all the attendees on that, but yeah, that's a tricky spot right there, so. We may have to just wait 5 minutes or so to start that for everybody to navigate their way to it.
Got our whole group there. And then last evening, we had Lloyd and myself were at the McCog dinner for their 50th anniversary. And that was held by Village President Dowski from Lake Hills. And then next Tuesday, anyone that wants to attend Law and Government Center at the county, we will be presenting our legislative program for them so that we can work together. And that is all that I have.
What time is it next Tuesday?
I believe it's first thing in the morning, so 8:30, I'll send a reminder
And that's at the county building?
at the county building. Any questions?
Will you present again?
Our legislative program? Oh, and how I forgot it, because I have Andy covering this. So one of the things that we had a special meeting to talk about health insurance. And I'm gonna have Andy go into a little bit of details here, but we tapped into our board president and our vice president because of their experience in human resources and navigating this is kind of give us some guidance and we've got some work to do. But Andy, do you want to highlight where we're going?
Good evening, everybody. So just quickly, we don't have any solutions today. This is just kind of giving a little overview of some of the challenges we're going to face like last year. You can go to that first slide. So we've been with the IPBC since 2021, that calendar year. We're on a calendar plan year now, January 1st to 12/31. And this chart shows the actual claims that IPBC paid out for the district. That's the orange bar. And the blue bar is the amount that we paid IPBC with premiums. And you can see in all but that very first year. So this is based on IPBC's year end, which is June 30th. They're July 1st to June 30th. So on their first fiscal year end of 2022, which was the first year the district was in there, we actually ended favorably, right? We've actually paid more money in than we took out. As you can see in the next 3 years, especially in 23 and 24, we underpaid by 374,000 and then 292,000. Collectively, just over these 5 years, the IPBC has paid out $688,000 more in claims than they've taken in from dollars from the district. And as we're looking at last year, we had a pretty big rate increase of 16%. We worked it down to 14% and making changes. And we're actually facing a bigger one the next day we're going to talk a little bit about. You go to the next slide. What's really driving that, so that orange bar is still the total claims paid out for the district by year, the same one we saw before. The blue one is the large claims the district has had. So you can see as those bars shoot up by 500,000 a year and this stays the same. Those are the years we had really large claims, right? So 450,000, 493,000 large claims. So that's driving it. If you look at the year in 2025, June 30th of 25, you see those large claims are down, the total claims for the district are way down. Next slide. So IPBC right now is projecting their year end, which is going to be June 30th and 26. They're looking at a loss ratio for the PPO of 109%. This is IPBC wide for loss membership, which means they're going to pay out 9% more than they take in. And that's the same thing they had last year. Actually, it's a little worse than they had ending in 2025. The HMO, they're going to pay out 4% more than the claims they take. So they're using that projection then to help project the rates we're going to be facing for calendar year 27. So the industry trend, they're projecting 11.8%. That's medical inflation. That's some of the increased use of specialty meds. And that's pretty common anywhere you're looking to see 11 to 12%, give or take, for projection for the next year. The IPBC as a whole, their average rate increase we're looking at is 21% for the PPO, 13% for the HMO. So that's, all the members together, over 150 members in IPBC. For the district, we're looking at 25% increase for the PPO and a 20.8% increase for the HMO. Collectively, that comes down to an average of 24% or just over 24%. Obviously, we're going to look for ways to try and reduce that. That's, a big hit for the district to take on financially. It's also a big hit for staff to take that. If you were in the PPO right now and you'd absorb a 24% increase, it's a $2,300 annual increase in premium. So you're, almost at $11,000 for that person. So we have a lot of things to look at between now. We hope to come back to the board sometime at the regular meeting in June, but maybe July, depending on, where we can get and how we can reduce that. Hopefully we can do something with it. If you go to the last slide. This is basically the same slide we started with. I just added the purple line to it. So that shows the rate increases by year. You can see we started out pretty conservatively. The first year's increase was 7.3%. Second year was 5.8, then 8.3, 25 was 5.7. Again, this is IPBC's year, not our year, right? So last year, then we faced that 14% because they're playing catch up. And it's not just us, it's the membership as a whole, although we're on the high end of it because our personal actual experience has been so high. And then as I put that forward, they're showing a 24.1%. If we were in the open marketplace and we had those kinds where your claims are jumping 30 and 35%, and that's what's actually happened, we would have been looking at double digits, 3 and 4 years ago. And who knows how it would all play out. So we're faring very, very well right now, and hopefully we can do something to work it down. Any questions? Thoughts? All right. We will be back.
We'll be back. Yeah, we'll be back. But before we did, Andy, thank you for putting this together. And we wanted just to keep the board informed that there are no surprises what we're working through. And we're tapping in as we do for all the different projects. We work as a collective, but it's wonderful to have the talent and knowledge of each of you subject matter experts that help guide us through the
And
process.
what does IPBC stand for? What's
Personal benefit?
Illinois Personal Benefit Cooperative.
And who's the carrier? Do they shop it to like a Blue Cross or?
Yeah, we're on a Blue Cross.
So under IPBC, you can carry both Blue Cross Blue Shield or United Healthcare and different members have different ways.
Okay.
You can design almost any kind of plan you want because they're so big.
Yeah.
They, basically they'll carve out however you want to carve it out. So there's lots and lots of variations.
Oh, no, that's good.
Any other questions? Okay. 9.0 trustees report. Bonnie?
I went to a macabre the month before, so that was at Ringwood. And Lloyd, are you still there? No, might not be.
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, when I talk about closed loop water cooling systems, I might be incorrect, so please help me out on that one. So ComEd gave a presentation in Ringwood, and they discussed their future data centers. And so I asked if they were going to follow the lead of our governor and University of Illinois in the SMR approach, where there's no waste of water. It's for their cooling. And they said, no, it will be too expensive. And actually the SMRs probably aren't quite ready yet. So they're going to be using the closed loop water cooling system that is 70% efficient. So that means there will be 30% water waste. And it sounds great, except for the fact that 30% of a massive increase in use of water is still a lot of water. And this is ComEd. This is a company that's going to be establishing whatever data centers they need throughout Illinois. So, but ComEd is headed that way, closed loop system. And Lloyd, do you have any thoughts about the closed loop system?
Yeah, but Ed, when they do discharge water back, the temperature differential is something that is always a concern too, because that affects plant and animal life. When they discharge warmer water, I understand the closed loop they're not so much discharging it, but they're still recycling some. I'm sure. We were talking yesterday at the McCog. I was telling Elizabeth, this sounds really far-fetched, but there's such pushback on these data centers that there's a real strong push now by Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos to put data centers in space because you don't need water for cooling and the electricity is free.
So, and the other thing too is, they use energy, they don't generate energy. And so what did ComEd say about the ratepayers? Because a lot of people that live near the data centers, their electric bills are going up by 30% to accommodate the use, because the data center, depending on the megawatt, will, like the ones they're planning out in Wyoming, are going to use more power in one day than the whole city of Lower Manhattan and the 5 boroughs use.
Wow.
I mean, it's ridiculous. And these poor people there's a lot of pushback on them out there as well. I mean, I know they're inevitable, but I think they just got to be done responsibly. And I don't think it's fair to the ratepayers to get stuck with the bills. And I also think a lot of them can't get they have to go to auxiliary power, which is gas generators. And now you're pushing carbon and, into the atmosphere. And because they are, like the one in Aurora has gas generators powering it too. So,
Yeah, in our area, there's around Virginia and DC and the Chicago area are two of the biggest areas where they really want to put these things. So Will County, I saw today, just approved their it's a massive program there for project.
Yeah, excuse me, but I think that's because I think what ComEd explained is that's where in Chicago, they have so many fiber optics all coming together. And that's why Chicago is focused on that area. That's how I understood it, as well as Virginia.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
How does Bonnie, you referenced the SMR, how does that fit in?
SMRs are small modular
Modular
reactors.
yeah.
They are, nanonuclear has just got approval to produce one. To produce, they'll start with their first one, but they're not ready to be used a lot right now. And comments, when I asked ComEd about that, they said, well, it's too expensive. So it's too bad that we're building data centers now, because it was a few years later, the SMRs would use much more. So that's what's happening. Everybody's building now. And the 70% efficiency, like Nora, you were saying, this is a lot of energy. That 30% of inefficiency is still a lot.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Especially given the size of these data centers.
Yeah, between the water and the electric power that they need.
But they, companies are explaining that they are being this, it's not a complete waste of water, so it's 70% efficiency sounds good to them. But it's effluent discharge too. So you got to think about what is in the water that they're discharging back, because it's not clean, it's not filtered at all. So
And the heat.
And the heat.
Thanks for your help, Lloyd.
Sure.
Thank you, Bonnie.
I saw the slide. I was really intrigued by it. Somebody shared, because I wasn't able to go to that pod, but I saw the comment slide. It looked really nice. I mean, in terms of what they were talking. I mean, I understood it. And, interesting.
I have a more just pleasant thing that I'll mention.
Please.
I went to the Land Conservancy plant sale this weekend and started my own native garden at our house. I'm excited about that. I bought 66 little grasses, flowers, and ground covers. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome to Illinois.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll
I attended the Natural McHenry County and the economic development for tourism and economic development too. So thank you for joining us for that.
Yes, that was fun. They did a great job. The trivia was really interesting. I was on a team with Carolyn Campbell, so she carried us, but we still didn't win. That's okay. I'm not bitter.
I think Lloyd was saying something.
Lloyd?
Mentioned, Elizabeth already mentioned the McCog, but the other meeting we had, Elizabeth and I met with Jolie, the executive director of the McHenry County Museum. You recall she proposed or kind of put an outline together of a plan to potentially restore the Kennedy House. And so we met to kind of follow up on that. And Elizabeth and I have invited her to come to a future meeting. I think August is where we agreed. And she'll come and share her insights with the board as to how we might be able to save that place.
Excellent.
That's all I have.
Anybody else? Okay, very good. Thank you. Moving on to 10.0, Henry County Conservation Foundation Board of Directors reports.
Good evening.
Hi.
Hi. So I'm Marty Gorman and I'm on the foundation board, one of the directors, and we are making a real effort to have more communication and partnership between us as partners. So here I am. We had a soft launch a couple of weeks ago, Bonnie, you were referencing it at the Big Woods, of our donor journeys that we had come up with during our joint retreats. And it was really very successful. We had quite a few, maybe 6 to 8, considering it was a soft launch, donors join us, people from the district, people from the foundation. And it was Tom Simpson led us through Big Woods, Bigfoot Woods, and we saw these oak trees that were just, like you said, massive. One was 17 feet in circumference. Oh yeah, it was something else. And he gave us history and he helped us move over big giant logs that had fallen over. There was no trail in sight and everybody had a blast. We just had the best time. And thank you again for your TikToks because they came in handy.
Oh, yeah.
And so we have more of these coming up. I'll just briefly go over them. Emails went out to some of our significant donors about a week or so ago. We got about 32% response. And now we're going to be making calls for these 7 events, these behind the scenes things that we're presenting to them. One is an adult summer camp experience. That's our first one, June 12th at the Hollows. Kayaks, fishing, crafts, and adult beverages. Bird watching at Camp Lakota on June 13th. That's early morning. And so that will be pretty great. Cindy Jablonski will be leading that. And then on July 18th, we have a Glacial Park Botanical Tour. Lori Ryan will be leading that on School Springs. Another adult summer camp experience at Rush Creek on the 24th of July. A Nippersink Creek Mussel Survey on August 8th. Bison Ranch Tour, because we all love our Bison Ranch tours, whether they're with Mike or with us, at Pleasant Valley in August. And then lastly, for this group of 7, Geological Wonders of the District at Lost Valley on September 10. If you want more information, please contact me or Elizabeth has it. There was a URL that you can go to and see the 7 things that we're offering and hope to see you there. And hope to keep our partnership as strong and just moving forward as it is. So thank you for having me today.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Marty.
Hey, Marty.
Yes, Lloyd.
Hey, a question on that tree with the 17-foot circumference. Was that the witness tree, or is the witness tree a separate
The
entity?
witness tree was separate from what I remember. Bonnie, do you remember? And Mike, you were also there. Yes.
Separate.
Separate. Yes.
Okay.
That was separate.
Okay, thanks.
And everybody had to touch these trees and just think about everything that they had seen. You know, it was really quite the experience.
Fantastic.
Okay, moving on to 11.0. Is there any other business? Okay, no hands. Public 12.0, public comments. Number 2, is anybody out there and would you like to say anything?
I'm not seeing any raised hands online.
Very good, thank you. 13.0, I'll offer a motion to go into executive session pursuant to 2C6, setting a price or lease of property, 2C11, probable imminent litigation, and 2C21, review of closed session minutes of the opening meeting Act 5, ILCS 120/1 ET SEQ, period.
So moved.
We need a second?
Second. Treasurer Zimmerman,
Yes.
Secretary Zeller.
Yeah.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Zurich.
Yes.
Pro Tem Wazorek.
Yes.
Trustee Leahy.
Yes.
All right, and there's no action after executive session this evening, but we'll be back in next Tuesday for the regular meeting.
President Pro Tem Wazorek.
Here.
Treasurer Zimmerman.
Here.
Secretary Zeller. Here. Trustee Brady. Here. Trustee Leahy.
Yes.
And Trustee Zurich.
Here.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Tomlinson. Second.
Trustee Leahy.
Yes.
Secretary Zeller.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
President Pro Tem Wazorek.
Yes.
Treasurer Zimmerman.
Yes.
Trustee Zurich.
Yes.
You're adjourned.